Kia ora and welcome to our Prosperous Napier committee meeting. As Councillor McGrath said earlier, may the 4th be with you all. We have no apologies for this meeting. Thanks for being here today. Do I have any conflicts of interest? No. Great. Announcements by the Mayor. There are no announcements from myself. Do we have any from management?
No, we don't.
No, cool, thank you. And does anyone have any minor matters that are not on the agenda? No, great. Okay. We'll move on to our confirmation of minutes. Can I have someone to move that the minutes of the Prosperous Napier Committee meeting held on Thursday the 23rd of March 2023 be taken as a true and accurate record of the meeting? Thank you, Councillor Crystal, and seconded by Councillor Mawson. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone against? Carried. Thank you. Right, first up, we have the Hawke's Bay Museums Trust annual report for the year ending 30th of June 2022. I'd like to invite Tanya Wright. Please come and present the Chairman's report on behalf of Dick, who is unable to be here today.
Thank you and good morning everyone. It's lovely to be here and to see you all again, even if I am on the other side. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the Council and particularly the Mayor for allowing me to continue to represent you on the Museums Trust, which is something that is very dear to me, as you well know. So I'm here this morning because Dr. Richard Grant couldn't be here today, just to speak to his Chairman's report. As you can see, the report is for the year ended June 2022, so it's a little bit old and out of date due to the lateness of being able to have these audited. So I'm happy to answer any questions on the Chairman's report for you this evening, but if there's any tricky financial questions, I don't have the support of the financial officers here today, so you may not get an answer today.
Thank you, Tanya. We'll open for questions, but the first one from me, I was wondering if you had anything that you wanted to update us on since that June 2022 date around funding received or anything like that, that highlights that you might wanted to update.
Well, I am very pleased to announce that this week we received news from the Eastern and Central Community Trust that they are giving us $150,000 towards the refit of the new storage facility for the collection. So that's some very good news for us today. So those matters are progressing, as you're well aware. I'm not on the joint committee anymore, but I understand that things are progressing and we are soon to receive a report on the new governance structure for the trust moving forward, or for the museum moving forward. Although there is, first we have to finish the business case to inform the new structure for the trust, which I believe is a very important piece of work that needs to be done so that everyone is aware of what the costs are going to be moving forward under a new structure for the museum. So that's, while the timing of these things is frustrating for the trust, I mean, we're kind of in limbo at the moment, waiting for certain things to fall into place, but there are things happening, and the great thing is that we know we're going to have a new storage facility, and the trust is all about the collection and the management and housing of those treasures for our region, and so that building is incredibly important moving forward for the storage of that collection on your behalf, so that's very exciting. But the next phase of work is, of course, the governance structure of the museum moving forward, which is the second important piece of work that needs to happen.
Thank you. Do I have any questions?
Yes,
Thank you, Councillor
Thank
Bowe.
you, Madam Chair. Tanya, what sort of budget do you have for acquisitions, for purchasing new items?
I think it's generally around 30,000 a year that we put aside for acquisitions, but sometimes we go over that because if something that is of significance becomes available for purchase, that we believe is an important part of our collection, Sometimes we may go over that budget, but that's a decision that the trust makes on a case-by-case basis.
Deputy Mayor Brosnan.
Thank you, through the chair. Tanya, I was reading through the list of acquisitions while we were talking about it, and just for my own information, I was interested in your relationship with the Knowledge Bank. A number of those acquisitions appeared to be sort of paper-style records and things like that, particularly, I think, Lady Axford's donations. And so I was just wondering what that relationship looks like.
I can't answer that question. I think, yeah, you're right. They are generally taking in photographs and documents at the Knowledge Bank, but we have a significant collection of photographs and documents as well. So I guess it depends where people choose to put the information, and I would suggest that the information about Sir Axford would be probably more appropriate for the museum in the sense that it is of quite immense significance to our region, yeah.
So kind of on a case-by-case.
Yeah, I think it's just, and I think it's more about where the person wants the item to be. And there is probably a little bit more significance to having it as part of the museum's collection, maybe. Yeah.
Thank you.
Councillor Crystal.
Just further to the Deputy Mayor, as I'm on the Knowledge Bank Trust, I can probably answer that a bit more.
Yeah.
The Knowledge Bank doesn't keep items, they just scan them and they get returned to the owners. And I know they do work with the museum because they have very high-tech scanning equipment and a huge data storage backup. So I know they do work on some of the collections together. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Do we have any further discussion or questions? No? Okay. Well, I'm happy to move this one from the chair, actually. The office's recommendation that we receive the annual report from Hawke's Bay Museums Trust for June 2022. Do I have someone to second that, please? Thank you, Councillor Crystal. Would you like to speak?
Just that, it's always really interesting, again, with the history lens that I have as well, to read and see some of the things coming in and to look after Hawke's Bay's history.
Thank you. Did anyone else want to speak to the motion? No, that's fine. I'm happy not to speak. I think it's you said it very well, Councillor Crystal. So I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. Thank you. We'll ask you to stay for the next one as well. Thanks, Tanya. Our second agenda item is the Statement of Intent and Financial Reporting for Hawke's Bay Museums Trust. Happy for you to...
So the statement of the intent that we're presenting to you this time is really just a rollover of our previous one. As I said before, we're kind of in a little bit of a holding pattern here while we wait for some key pieces of work to come in regarding the future of the trust and the museum. So the statement of intent is not different from one that you have received before. We're essentially just rolling it over and continuing the business as usual approach while these matters are resolved.
Thank you, Tanya. Open for questions. Everyone's excited to get to extraordinary, maybe, sorry.
No,
I
don't
mean
mind.
the reporting sound, and as you said, there isn't a lot of change from last time round. But just I'll just give everyone one further opportunity if they would like to discuss or question anything. No? Fantastic. So the officer's recommendation in front of us for this is to A, receive the Hawke's Bay Museums Trust financial report for the 6 months ended 31 December 2022 and receive the Hawke's Bay Museums Trust draft statement of intent 2024 to 26 and provide any feedback to the trust prior to the statement of intent being brought back to council for adoption. So can I have someone to move that, please? Thank you, Mayor Wise, and a seconder. Councillor Mawson, thank you very much. Would you like to speak to that? Mayor Wise?
Oh, thank you. Through the chair, just to thank you, Tanya, and the rest of the trust members for all the work that you do. This is a very precious tonga for us here in Hawke's Bay, and I know you all take your responsibility very seriously. And I'm also looking forward to the results of the joint committee that's looking at the current governance structure and how we move forward in the future. And thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Mawson?
Yeah, just to add my thanks and good to see you, Tanya.
Great, well, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you
Nice-
very much. See you again.
Yeah.
See you. Okay, our third item on today's agenda is the approach to the 2024-34 long-term plan. And this morning we're going to have Jess Allen present the paper to us.
Thanks. So this paper gives me the opportunity to introduce Stephanie Murphy, who has joined us as our LTP Program Manager. So I'll invite Stephanie to come up and sit at the table here, but I'm not going to ask her to introduce or talk to the paper because she has literally just joined us. But I might ask her to just introduce herself. I'll introduce the paper and then I'll let her introduce herself. So this paper, I guess, signals the work has begun in earnest following Council's resolutions last week around the FY 23-24 annual plan. Every LTP is a big piece of work, but the upcoming LTP poses significant challenges for Council to consider and respond to. Some of these are Napier's unique and specific recovery from Cyclone Gabrielle, as well as the role it plays in the broader regional recovery effort. Three Waters and other local government reform. Macroeconomic factors such as inflation and the cost of borrowing will have a significant effect and affordability and impact on ratepayers, as well as the investment in our organisation to ensure we can deliver on our commitments. Looking ahead, financial modelling, we already know we're looking at some significant financial challenges, and we'll need to explore and review all the options around how we fund and deliver activities. There will be multiple planning and consultation phases before a final review is adopted, and we will engage with a range of stakeholders, including iwi and hapu. Today, we're asking you to support starting some more significant pieces of work, being a Section 17A review of City Services Depot and services delivered there, and a commercial review of the business and tourism portfolio. We believe these should be prioritised due to the scale of the reviews and the potential impact. As the LTP project plan develops, we'll bring you more detail around further reviews as they are planned. Happy to take the paper as read and answer questions.
Thank you, Jess. Before we open for questions, though, I will give Stephanie the opportunity to introduce herself to us all, so I hand over to you, Stephanie.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. As Jess said, I'm Stephanie Murphy. I started last Wednesday. You actually all look very familiar, and you probably remember me from my time at Hawke's Bay Airport, which has been the last 4 years, and before that, Auckland Airport for about 4 years, and before that, the energy sector at Genesis Energy for 15. So I've had a little stint in local government back in Horizons and Palmerston City Council a very long time ago. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to the opportunity of working with you all. Long-term plan is something that I guess lots of my career has been spent doing planning and long-term planning for large-scale infrastructure projects around the countryside and significant pieces of assets, including Hawke's Bay Airport and the master plan. So yeah, I'm unfortunately only being a week into this, so I haven't. I'm getting my way around the council and meeting everyone who's been involved to date, and look forward to working with you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Now I saw Councillor Bogue.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. Section 17A reviews have been done over the years mostly by external reviewers, and some councils have done them internally. So I'm wondering, are these Section 17A reviews going to be done by external reviewers or internally, and where does the budget come from, please?
Yeah, I think we'll propose that the reviews will be carried out by external consultants. We probably don't have the capacity to deliver them internally. And I think you get a different perspective from having someone external carry out the review, so you don't have any internal bias as well. So I think we would certainly propose having them carried out externally.
The budget?
So the budget, we do have budget for professional services, and I think we effectively will need to find the budget in terms of having these reviews carried out. We will need to find budget for level of service reviews for the LTP right across the business.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor.
Just a point of clarification, there's only one 17A review, that is of the city services. The business and tourism portfolio review is internal.
No, we're proposing that the commercial review for business and tourism will be undertaken by an external provider as well.
Mayor Wise.
And sorry, just following on from Councillor Taylor's comment, and I think you did mention this in your introduction, Jess, we may well do more 17A reviews if they're identified through the long-term planning process.
Yeah, so as we develop the plan, the project plan for the LTP, I think we would certainly identify more reviews that need to be undertaken. We're just proposing that these ones are done initially, and we're asking you to support them now because these are certainly of the largest size and scale, and we think that they probably have the biggest impact and the largest sort of outcome. So we think that they need to get underway earliest. But we've identified that these will have, particularly I think city services has a significant impact from the Three Waters reform and how that they are intertwined. The services are delivered and some of them are intersect with Three Waters quite significantly, and untangling how we might deliver those services post Three Waters reform is important. Yeah.
And sorry, just one from me, Jess. So the difference between the Section 17A and the commercial review of business and tourism, is that simply framework? So S17A is a set framework, whereas the commercial review,
Yep.
are we looking to set the brief?
So Section 17A is effectively around efficiency and effectiveness, and it's set by legislation. Whereas a commercial review, we have the ability to set the scope of that, so we can be quite specific around what it is we're trying to achieve, and yeah, what the outcomes we're hoping to achieve are. And it's more around applying that commercial discipline around the business and tourism portfolio. Yeah.
Deputy Mayor Brosnan.
Thank you. Through you, the Chair, I kind of had a range of questions. You talked about the potential cost of the 17A review. Have we scoped that? I note that under C on that page, council needs to justify the cost of it.
Needs to justify the cost of the review.
Yeah, before it, if council is satisfied that the potential benefits of undertaking the review do not justify the cost, so that needs to be part of our consideration.
Yes, we do need to justify the cost of the review. So we would do that, I guess, in terms of the size and the scale of the scope of the review. So you could either do a very high level scope in terms of just taking a very high level view of how the services are delivered, or you could get right into the detail. And I think we do need to get into the detail. So Audit New Zealand have raised multiple times in their management reports that we have issues there in terms of our systems and processes. So how we deliver the corporate side and actually the systems and processes of the city services depot is something that we need to look into as well. So it's not just around how we actually deliver the functions, but it's the internal capability and how we deliver, how we kind of the internal systems as well.
So how can we endorse it without an indication of costs?
Well, we can have a look at the cost of delivering that service, and we know that the inflationary cost increases of delivering that service year on year has increased quite considerably.
Sorry, I'm meaning in terms of the cost of the review.
How do we know what the cost of the review will be?
Yeah.
Once we scope it up, we can have it costed in terms of putting out a RFI.
Okay. So would you see that coming back to council for final endorsement once we knew the cost? I'm just struggling with us
can go to
endorsing it
Louise.
before
Louise has got it.
understanding the cost
Yeah, thank you.
implications.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
It's
And
the
I'm just-
cost-benefit analysis of doing the review is effectively what we're trying to quantify.
Thank you, Louise.
Your mic's
We
not
can't
working.
hear you. No.
Through the chair, so I think to be clear, what perhaps there's two parts to this. So I guess the recommendation is that we go ahead. Honestly. Yep.
Yeah.
Yay.
Well
Okay.
done.
So through the chair, I think the recommendation is we're asking for approval to go ahead with the Section 17 review. This will be one of a number of reviews, whether we call it Section 17A or other reviews, as part of your LTP following your strategy and prioritisation. In terms of the cost, you've obviously set us a budget, and as officers it's our responsibility to deliver the budget. So we wouldn't be coming back to council to ask for the budget because that's what you employed me to do. So we need to work within that budget. I guess what we're just signalling is this is the process we want to go through. There will be the Section 17A reviews, which as Jess has spoken to, we would look to appoint external people to give us that credibility and also to identify best practice. One, we don't have the resources or the experience in-house to do that because we would want that to be informing the LTP going forward. So just to be clear, that we operate, you've obviously given us delegation and me delegation to operate within the budget. If we have to come outside the budget, we would be bringing papers back, but we wouldn't be bringing papers to request you to allow us to spend the budget that you've already delegated for me to spend. Does that make sense? I'm not sure I've helped, but kia ora, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, within the budget makes sense. My second question, Jess, is around timing. So the report essentially, I suppose, flags the City Services Department as the key reason for requiring is some of those comments you've talked about in audit, but also the effects of the Three Waters reform. In my mind, that reform is still quite fluid in terms of where it may land, and so I'm just questioning timing and whether or not now is the right time if we see some further changes. You know, we just had some very quick changes made a month ago to what that looks like. We're in an election year, we're not entirely sure where it will land. Is now the right time to spend an unknown amount within budget on a 17A review of something that isn't concrete?
Kia ora again. So yes, it is, because this is about preparing our organisation for the LTP. So we need to understand, and as Jess has highlighted, there are some issues that we need to look at anyway. So it would make sense to do a proper and thorough review so that we can build that into our next LTP process. In terms of the Three Waters, I think what we're signalling, or being signalled to us as officers, is something is going to happen, so we need to prepare for that. And there will be work done to identify the stranded overheads should Three Waters go ahead in its current form, and we will be looking to build that into our conversations around the LTP. So we would need to make sure that that is captured, because that, if things go ahead as proposed, there will be significant savings that will need to be identified from within the organisation because of those stranded overheads. So, and also some projects that perhaps we hadn't included in the LTP, the current LTP, on waters will need to go back in the first 2 years of the upcoming LTP.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Do I have any further questions? Councillor McGrath.
Just through the chair, does an S17A look? It says effectiveness and efficiencies. Does it also identify potential future opportunities? Look, effectiveness and efficiencies.
Sorry.
Does it also identify? Yeah, what she said.
Yes, well, it does. It looks at exploring different operating models in terms of how you deliver the service. So it looks at opportunities as well as how you're delivering the current service in terms of looking at how you can deliver it more efficiently. Yeah.
Any further questions? Okay, well, we will review the officer's recommendation. So we've got one in 4 parts here. A is endorse the scoping and commissioning of a full 17A review of City Services Depot. B, endorse the commercial review of the business tourism portfolio. C is to note the information presented in this report as the planned approach to date for the 2024 to 34 long-term plan. And D, note that officers will return to the committee with comprehensive long-term project plan for review. That includes delivery and timing information. Do I have a mover? Thank you, Councillor Taylor, seconded by Mayor Wise. Would you like to speak to that?
Yes, briefly, I'd just like to say that we obviously know that our long-term plan is going to be a major piece of work that we have to give a great deal of consideration to, with the impacts, the budgetary constraints, and the reviews that are indicated, I believe, will give us a really good platform to plan from. So look forward to receiving those reports.
Through the chair, yes, just to say I'm actually really looking forward to us getting stuck into our long-term plan process. Speaking for myself personally, having this opportunity to do a real deep dive and review of our activities is something that I've been keen to do for quite some period of time. And for a variety of reasons, such as flooding, COVID and cyclones, it hasn't really been an option. So here's hoping nothing comes along later this year to interrupt us being able to proceed with this. But I think as a council we have a huge opportunity in this long-term plan process to really identify what it is that we need to be focusing on for our community and how we can look to make cost savings where we can, and also have a conversation with our community about what we will continue to do going forward and what we may not be able to continue to do. So the community is well and truly a vital part of this conversation. So I do look forward to seeing the project plan and also the communications and engagement plan that will go alongside that. So this is one of our biggest responsibilities as a council in terms of, ensuring that we've got prudent financial management and ensuring that we've got some really key strategic priorities that underpin our whole long-term plan and what we're intending to do for the next 10 years. So we cannot underestimate how important this is for us and for our community. So fully support this first step. Looking forward to moving forward. And I'd also just like to say welcome to Stephanie. Great to have you on board.
Thank you, Mayor Wise. I understand you'd also like to speak to the motion, Councillor Price.
Just very quickly, I'm fully in support of it, and I think it's outstanding. I think that the 17A of the services depot is going to be really hard work with the way waters are at the moment, and maybe lots of options come out or lots of suggestions, but the way it's a moving target at the moment, I find it going to be quite hard.
Thank you. Do we have anyone that wanted to speak against the motion today? No? Well, we've had 3 speakers, so I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. And if I could get someone, a mover and a seconder, to adjourn this meeting so we can go into extraordinary. I've got Councillor Mawson and Councillor Crystal. Thank you very much. We'll adjourn.